A man disappeared. The police found nothing. The neighbors forgot. But his dog didn't. It kept searching for him. I lived between two very different men. On one side, a quiet man in his 50s. He owned a small shop where he repaired old watches. Everyone trusted him. He never argued, never raised his voice, always polite, always calm. On the other side, a young man who was the exact opposite. Loud music every night. Arguments with neighbors. Constant trouble. Most people avoided him. The old man was the only one who tolerated him, sometimes even apologizing to the rest of us on his behalf. I was the third neighbor. Close enough to hear everything, but not close enough to understand. Until that night. It was raining heavily. Around midnight, I heard a muffled scream from the young man's apartment. The next morning, he was gone. The police came. Questions were asked. Most people said he probably ran away or got into trouble. He had plenty of enemies. The old man only shook his head sadly and said, "He was reckless, but kind at heart. I hope he's safe." Months passed. The case went cold. People forgot. But I didn't. Not because of the police. Because of the dog. The young man had a dog that refused to leave. Every night, it slept outside, near the old man's shop, right next to a patch of ground behind it. It didn't bark much. It just stayed there, watching, waiting. Then I noticed something strange. The dog never looked at the door of its owner's apartment. It only stared at the ground. One night, I followed it. It walked slowly to the same spot and began scratching the dirt, softly, almost carefully, before lying down again, as if guarding something. That's when the feeling hit me. Not fear. Certainty. I went to the police the next morning. They didn't take me seriously. A dog? A feeling? That's nonsense. Days later, everything changed. The neighborhood had already planned to demolish an old extension behind the shop to widen the street. The old man stood there, watching the machines with an unsettling calm. Then the excavator hit something hard. The workers stopped. The ground was opened. A wooden box was pulled out, old, sealed tight. Inside were bones. 3 skeletons. One of them belonged to the missing young man. People screamed. The police rushed in. Chaos erupted. But the real horror came moments later. In the torn remains of the young man's clothes, they found a small notebook. A diary. His handwriting was shaky, but clear enough. He had discovered the truth.
The quiet old man wasn't harmless. He was a professional killer who had buried victims beneath his shop for years. All people think that he is the kind one, and I am the careless one. But I witnessed it. That night, I saw him bury a wooden box behind his shop. I couldn't move and I couldn't breathe. The next morning, I went to him and told him I would call the police. He didn't panic, he simply smiled. Then he said calmly, "No one will believe you. I'll tell them you did it." My heart stopped. He looked at me as if he had already won. "You're loud, reckless, always in trouble. I'm the polite old man, and you are the perfect killer." In that moment, I realized that going to the police would only bring me trouble. I asked him why he did that, and he just looked at me and confessed. They used to make a fool of him, laugh at him, and humiliate him, so he killed them and buried them in cold blood.
Me and all my neighbors were deeply shocked to learn these facts. As they put the handcuffs on the quiet man, he didn't resist. He didn't look afraid. He looked peaceful. He said, "They didn't see me as a man. They saw me as something they could disturb, break, provoke whenever they wanted." I lived my life in silence. I repaired my watches. I minded my own business. I asked for nothing. But they couldn't accept that peace. They came close to it, and then tried to corrupt it. Then slowly, he turned his head and looked straight at me. For a moment, I froze. Then he smiled. My heart dropped. He said, "You shouldn't have followed the dog. You asked questions. You went to the police and started to annoy me. If they hadn't come for me today, you would have been the fourth." The officer pulled him forward, and he stepped away while I stood there, still in shock, unable to comprehend what had just happened. Life has a way of constantly surprising us. There is no absolute evil and no absolute good. only human beings driven by fear, desire, and circumstance, each carrying both light and darkness within them, often in ways we fail to see until it's too late.